everyone. I'm Reverend Katherine Economou, and it's my joy to welcome you this morning to the Center for Spiritual Living in our Sunday celebration service. I'm joined by our Artistic Director, John Foltz.
Hello.
And we have our Practitioner of the Day today, Pam Migliozzi, who did a great meditation this morning. Thank you, Pam. She's off camera, but you'll see her very quickly here. And we have a great service put together for you. And so we'll get started.
Get right into it. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release. From a world filled with chaos and noise, I awake to these precious moments when I hear all that has never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself.
And in this holy presence, I find God. I find myself. I know that the presence and the power of God is right here, right now, at this very, very moment. And I absolutely know that I am one with this presence, with this power, and with the one God. And as I know this to be true for myself, I know it to be true for every person within the sound of my voice right now. The one presence, the one power is right here. And that one presence, that one power, that one God extends beyond. This one God is the power of the entire universe. The love, the peace, the joy, the harmony. This is God. And I am so grateful for this awareness. I know that the service today unfolds perfectly. The message resonates with each person. The music touches our soul. And I simply say, thank you, God, for this beautiful Sunday morning. Thank you. I let it go, and I let it be, and so it is.
So it is. Wow, thank you, Pam. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
And thank you, John, beautifully.
Thank
John
you.
set so beautifully for our service. And again, I want to welcome you and just express our gratitude that you found us today. You know, the Center for Spiritual Living Temecula Valley is an open, welcoming, inclusive, affirming community. We believe that the divine is manifest as each and every one of us, and that we are each a gift of God unto the world at this time. And so we know that this life that we are living, this path that we are walking, is a spiritual path, and that we are each guided and supported deeply from within by that presence that we call God, that there's a divine spark at the center of each of us, and that's our connection to the infinite presence of God. And so as we put our attention upon that, as we teach our tools for transformation of connecting and deepening our walk here, we know that lives transform, that you manifest and you call forth experiences that allow you to grow and expand. And when we do that together in community, we help each other and we create a world that works for everyone. And so we're so grateful that you've decided to join us today. And whether you're a longtime congregant or you've just come across us today for the first time, just know that we are extending our virtual arms out in a great big virtual hug to welcome you, to affirm the truth of your being, and to just give great gratitude for you and for your presence here together. And so with that, I think we have a congregational song.
We do.
You ready?
Absolutely.
Which one are we singing today?
My God is so good to me.
My God is so good to me today. Pam's going to come and dance with me.
I got up this morning singing, God is so good. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. My God is so good to me. Feeling good down in my soul, God is so good. Feeling good down in my soul, God is so good. Feeling good down in my soul, God is so good. My God is so good to me. In my meditation, God is so good. In my meditation, God is so good. In my meditation, God is so good. My God is so good to me. When my day is over, God is so good. When my day is over, God is so good. When my day is over, God is so good. My God is so good to me. Every day and every way, God is so good. Every day and every way, God is so good. Every day and every way, God is so good. My God is so, my God is so, my God is so good to me.
And that is John Foltz, man, rocking it for us today.
That's a fun one.
That was great. Thank you so much. And so let's take a breath, and we're going to move into our moment of gratitude. It's hard after that, flying high. We're going to breathe first and be grateful for that as we're dancing around up here. We can't help ourselves. And so we will pause and take a breath. And let's just move into this space of appreciation. You know, one of my favorite exercises is called appreciative inquiry. It's a wonderful opportunity when you hit a rough spot in a relationship or with a team or a group, that you do something, it's a form of dialogue where you come together. And instead of talking about what's wrong, instead of talking about what you're mad at, instead of talking about what's challenging in that moment, you each say something that you appreciate about the situation. And you go around in a circle a couple of times and you start to build that sense of appreciation, and then you look at what the challenge is, and you find more often than not there's no challenge. Everything starts to work itself out. And so I think that that's one of the amazing gifts of appreciation, of gratitude, of thanksgiving. And that's why we've created this moment of gratitude at the center of our service here, for us to connect to that powerful transformative energy of gratitude and appreciation. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, maybe place your hand on your heart if you're comfortable with that. And today we're going to start with appreciation for the self. I want you to just allow yourself to appreciate you. You are the divine gift to the world, uniquely expressing as yourself. And so I know sometimes this is the hardest one to do ourselves, But I want you to bring to mind something about you that's unique to you that you're grateful for. Maybe it's an ability, maybe it's a talent or a way of being or something that's unique to you. And I want you to just share a little bit of appreciation for your unique gift. Breathing into that moment here. I want you to think of something else. Bring to mind some other unique expression of you that you could appreciate today. And then we're going to stretch. I want you to think of something that maybe it's a little harder to appreciate. Maybe it's something about yourself that you're not as proud of or happy about. But this is the true spiritual work. When you can realize that maybe it's something that you're not so comfortable with, but it truly is uniquely you and is a gift. And see if you can stretch into that appreciation. That you have the opportunity to be here, awake and alive in this moment, in this time. That this life is a gift. That this day is a gift. That this breath is a gift. And so taking a nice full breath, and just centering in that gratitude, planting that seed of it today. I encourage you to practice a little bit of appreciation for yourself and for everyone around you every day, and just see how transformative this spiritual practice can be. I also want to take a moment and say, share a heartfelt gratitude for everyone who continues to support our spiritual community. This is our time of sacred giving, and I get to remind you that we are in this together. That as we come together and give to that which we want to see grow and expand, the expansion of this light, this knowing, this wisdom, these spiritual principles that have touched and transformed our lives and our intention and desire to see so many be empowered to create the lives of their dreams. This is what we are giving to. This is what we are supporting. This is the ministry that CSL TV is and why we are here, to bring comfort, to bring peace and inspiration to all those who are ready and can be served by this message. And so your offering, your financial gift, goes to support our ability to bring this message out far and wide, and for us to move into that time where we're going to be able to come back together in person over the summer. And so we are so grateful for your support. And there's a couple of ways that you could give. You could call our office and talk to our magnificent administrator, Diane Keys, who's waiting there by the phone. She can run a credit card for you. You could pop over to our website and hit that donate button that comes through PayPal, or you could mail in an offering to the office and we will receive it this week. Just know that we are so grateful to be partnering with you in this so that we can continue to serve and support in this light and in this love that is this spiritual community. And so let's bless this offering. Let's close our eyes and take a moment and just breathe our gratitude, our appreciation, and our powerful knowing of the infinite source of the divine into it. Knowing that this is a gift that has come to each of us and moves out into that which we want to see expand, that which we want to see grow. We are planting seeds of possibility, seeds of opportunity unfolding for this spiritual family. And so I bless this offering knowing that it goes forth to multiply, to expand, and to guide this divine unfoldment for this church. And with a grateful heart, I simply bless it. I give thanks for it and allow it to be. And so it is. Amen. Please join me in saying our affirmation of abundance together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now.
Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us, and let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say, rest in God and say amen. Let our joy be so triumphant. We rest in God and say amen.
Good morning. Our spiritual reading for today comes from our book for this year, 365 Days of Richer Living by Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker. Today, I lose all condemnation. I judge not, and I am judged only by the law of God. When Jesus said that we should not judge lest we be judged, he was stating the action of the law of cause and effect. If we wish a complete clearance from any sense of condemnation about ourselves, we must first be certain that we have released all condemnation of others from our own minds. When we do this, we meet others in a new light and reaching back of all judgment and criticism, establish a relationship between the spirit that is within them and the same spirit that is within us. For God is one in all people. Realizing that love is the great motivating power of life, and knowing that God must be at the center of everything. Today, I am meeting this God in everyone and seeing the manifestation of his life in everything. If there is any condemnation or animosity in me, I gladly lose it. I lose it and let it go as I turn to that silent presence within me, which gives all and withholds nothing. Giving and receiving, loving and being loved. I enter into the harmony of an eternal peace and joy, into the knowing that I am now in the kingdom of God, from which no person is excluded. My yesterdays are gone forever. My tomorrows stretch forth into the endless future of pure delight. And from out of the invisible, there comes to me these words: today thou art with me in paradise. And so it is.
So, thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yes.
Coffee. I need
Yes.
coffee.
Sunday mornings, you need your coffee, absolutely. Now caffeinated up. I'd like to
Every day.
welcome John Foltz.
Hi. Yeah. You say it's all right. You say it's all right. Say it's all right. Have a good time, 'cause it's all right. Oh, it's all right. Now listen to the beats, kind of at your feet. You got soul, everybody knows that it's alright. Oh, it's alright. When you wake up early in the morning, feeling sad like so many of us do, just hum a little soul, make life go. 'Cause say it's alright. It's alright, have a good time, 'cause it's alright, oh, it's alright. Everybody clap your hands and give yourself a chance. You got soul, everybody knows that it's alright, oh, it's alright. Oh, now when you wake up early in the morning, feeling sad like so many of us do, won't you hum a little soul, make life your goal, 'cause your disciples gotta come to you. And you know you gotta say that it's alright. You say it's alright. It's alright, have a good time, 'cause it's alright, oh, it's alright. Tap your feet, listen to the beats. You got soul, everybody knows that it's alright, oh, it's alright. Everybody clap your hands and give yourself a chance. You got soul, everybody knows that it's alright, oh, it's alright. You got soul, everybody knows that it's alright, oh, it's alright. Say that you got soul, everybody knows that it's alright, oh, it's alright. Thank you for actually clapping your hands.
Well, that's what happens when you say clap your hands. We have to clap our hands.
Yes.
That's how it
Right.
works, right? I love those songs that give me the directions.
Right?
Step to the right, step to the left. Clap, 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 you know. So fun. All right, everybody, let's take a nice deep breath. One more time, nice full deep breath. Here we go. So this month we've been looking at the ways we can awaken to our true nature, right? We've been talking about opening up to who we truly are and what support and guidance, strength, and wisdom are available to us. And our theme this month has been holy uprising, right? Holy like whole, W-H-O-L-Y, holy, H-O-L-Y, uprising. And so as an organization, we really strive to be on that cutting edge of spiritual development, you know, questioning, contemplating, and opening to a new way, opening up of a new way of understanding how reality operates and the reality that we're living in. We believe that this is what living a spiritual life means, to constantly be expanding and evolving to a deeper and a greater height of awareness at the same time. We want to go in very deep of knowing and a great expansion of knowing. Holy uprising, right? And so that's another way of saying complete. It's a complete and sacred awakening. That's what I've been looking at this month of holy uprising, is a complete and sacred awakening. And we're all being called to awaken to something new, no matter where we are along our journey, because that is the process of unfoldment. That's the process of expansion. And so today we're awakening to the idea that it's time for you to find your divine. That's my top title today. Find your divine. And what I mean by this is, you know, many of us have been raised with a specific idea of God, you know, and how God works in life, right? It's someone else's idea of God. So this God that we've been taught about is limited. It's separate. It's judgmental. It's punitive. And some far off, somewhere out there, right? God is way out there. And we are taught to try to be good enough to please this God, so that we can gain its favor, so that we can get the reward. If we are good enough, we will be given that which we deserve, right? Well, we're taught by someone else how to connect or commune with that God, and through some other holy man, some holy person, some intermediary. But truth is, it's through direct connection, communion with the presence that's already right there at your center, that you begin to forge a deep and meaningful understanding of just how connected you are and how intimate the presence of God is in your life. I came across a story this week I wanted to share with you. It's about Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson decided to go on a camping trip. After dinner and a bottle of wine, they lay down for the night and they went to sleep. Now, some hours later, Holmes woke up and nudged his friend and said, "Watson, look up at the sky and tell me what you see." Watson replied, "I see millions of stars." "Well, what does that tell you?" Watson pondered for a moment and he said, "Well, astronomically it tells me that there are millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Astrologically, I observe that Saturn is in Leo. Horologically, sorry, I totally screwed that one up. I deduce that the time is approximately 3:15. Theologically, I can see that God is all-powerful and that we are small and insignificant. And meteorologically, I suspect that we will have a beautiful day tomorrow." "What does it tell you, Holmes?" he said. Holmes was silent for a moment, and then he spoke. "Watson, you idiot, someone stole our tent." I love this. I love this. It reminded me that sometimes we get so tied up in the weeds, the specifics, the details, that we miss the big picture. Sometimes we try to dissect a concept and forget to take in the fullness of it. This happens in life a lot. We get so transfixed with any one of the situations that we're dealing with, any one of the challenges, any one of our problems, that we forget to put it into the greater context of our lives and of who we are. We look at problems to be solved, issues to be resolved. And what we miss is the full context of our lives, and along with that, how God shows up for all of it. God's in all of it. And we're so focused on the specifics that we don't allow ourselves to see that there's great support and guidance right there for us already. I personally like to look at the concepts of spirituality, the way that the mystics looked at God. Mystics say that they share that they know God exists because they have firsthand experience of the divine. They are those who have made a personal connection to a greater force. They claim to have not only sensed the presence of God, but to have felt the divine within themselves, permeating their entire being. Mysticism. Mysticism is the knowledge of God that comes from direct experience, not from years of religious study or following a specific protocol. It's an experience that's felt deeply within, or from a vision or a sense of something that's greater than you are, greater than the normal experiences of life. That's the path of the mystic. And it brings such richness. When we engage in that path of spiritual unfoldment, it brings such richness and deep knowing and a greater faith, because it's a personal experience of the divine. It's not someone telling you how you're supposed to feel. It's that true experience that comes from within. Mystical experiences are common to all religions across all times. And what's so interesting to me is that there are more similarities in what the mystics of different times and faiths have shared and brought forth than the differences. There's more that they have in common than what was different from them. And over time, we started to see two main themes of the teachings of the mystics, and this is them. The first one is this: mystics discover the unity of all things, the consciousness of the oneness of everything. a modern-day mystic, described his experience as this: "A great peace came over me. I was conscious of a lovely, unexplainable pattern in the whole texture of things, a pattern of which everyone and everything was a part, and weaving the pattern was a power, and that power is what we call love." That unifying force was love. And that idea that we are interconnected, that we are part of the oneness of life, changes the way that we operate in the world. And so if we can awaken to that truth, that we are one with the divine and with each other, then we are able to move forward, awake and aware in a different way. The second theme that the mystics brought forth was that they realized that the God that we're looking for and call out to in our times of need is actually within us. Again, another modern-day mystic shared her experience, and she said, when she had her mystical experience, she said, "The room was filled by a presence which in a strange way was both around me and within me. Like light or warmth, I was overwhelmingly possessed by someone who was not myself, and yet I felt more like myself than I had ever been before. There was a deep sense of peace and security and certainty." All of the mystics stressed a deep and personal connection with something greater than the self. It's a reminder to us that if we are seeking the presence of God, if we are seeking to live a spiritual life and to open to be guided by Spirit, we want to create a practice where we pause and make space for it each and every day. We need to make it welcome to engage with the divine within. There was an English priest named William Law who published a book in the 1700s titled The Spirit of Prayer. And this is what he shared. It spoke directly to this concept. He said this: "You see, hear, and feel nothing of God because you seek him outside yourself. You look for him in books, in the church, and outward exercises, but you will not find him until you have found him in your heart. God is already within you, living, stirring, calling, knocking at the door. Look for him in your heart, and you will never search in vain, for he lives there." God lives in our hearts. We just need to turn within and allow it to guide us, to support us, to nurture and care for us. And yet, we're also human. And we like what we can see. We like that we can understand things, what we can handle. It reminds me of this story I heard about a little boy who was asleep in bed, and he was woken up by a big storm, thunder, lightning, rain. You know those things we see on TV. We don't really get them here, but you know that there's thunder and lightning and loud storms that come through. So just imagine that in your mind, that there's a little boy who's woken up, and he calls out for his parents, and they come in and they say, "Honey, it's okay. God's always with you. Don't be afraid." And the little boy looks up at them and says, "Yes, I know that, but right now, I really need someone with skin on. I really need someone with skin on." Right? That's the human in us that wants to see and understand and have something be concrete and that we can touch in front of us, right? But that's not where the power is, and that's not where the presence is, and that's not where the deep support is. The deep support is beyond our ability to see. It's in our knowing, our communing and connecting to the presence. So the question is, how do we do this? How do we begin to reorient ourselves to the mystical view of the divine and begin to cultivate a new relationship with God? You know me, I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions of things we can do to start to move in that direction. And the first one is that we need to change our thinking about ourselves and God. Remember that saying that Ernest Holmes had, change your thinking, change your life? Well, we're going to come back to that first every time. We need to change our thinking about ourselves and about God. We need to stop affirming that we are weak, sick, limited, poor. You're none of those things. if you have convinced yourself that you are, even if it's showing up in your world, that is not the truth of your being. That is not the truth of who you are. You are an emanation of the one power and the one presence made manifest in your unique expression, sourced and supported by God. You are precious to life and deserve to be supported completely by this universe. And it's our belief. It is our belief that we are separate. It's our belief that we are limited that stops the support from showing up for us. So the first thing we need to do is to change that idea that we are separate, that we are not connected, that we are ever not connected to God, because there's no possible way that you could ever not be connected to God. Rumi, the Sufi poet, said, "I have lived on the lip of insanity, wanting to know reasons, knocking on doors. The door opens. I've been knocking from the inside." You're knocking from the inside, trying to find God outside of you when it's sitting right there where you are. And we need to flip the switch. Instead of thinking, I don't know God, I'm not connected, I'm not spiritual enough, I've heard all of these things from other people, to realize that no matter what, right where I am, God is. Right where you are, God is. You can never be cut off from your source. The second thing, we're going to practice believing that God dwells within us already. This is where the living as if comes in handy. What if? What if God is already right where you are? What if God is already fully manifest and supporting you, and it takes just opening and receiving the gifts? I learned, I can't remember exactly which one it was. Remember the movies that came out about 10 or 15 years ago? The What the Bleep and then The Secret, those movies came out. And this was from one of them. I remember there was a section in one of them where this gentleman was talking about his own personal spiritual practice with God. Was every morning he would get up and he would say, okay, God, thrill me today. How are you going to show up to thrill me today? How are you going to delight me in this day? How are you going to show yourself to me? And then he would go through his day and allow God to show up, and it would every single day. What if we just played with that? What if before you even opened your eyes, you made a little chat, you had a little chat with the divine of your heart and said, okay, God, I can't wait to see how you're going to show up today. I'm going to open my eyes and I'm going to start looking for you. And then you write it down so that you can remember that God shows up every time you ask it to. So in those times when it's a little more difficult, in those times when you're a little bit more desperate, in those times that seem a little bit darker, then you can know, look, all of these times God has showed up for me. Why would God not show up now? We need to practice seeing the divine in our lives. And not only in our own lives, but realizing that God dwells in others too. If God is showing up and giving the gift of life and the fullness of life and the abundance of life to you, it's giving it to your neighbor and to the person down the street and the person on the other side of the world, because we are all part of this oneness of life. So when you realize that God dwells in you, and then we realize that God dwells in everyone, then we begin to treat each other differently. We come with a compassionate heart, with a respect and an understanding, because you are the precious gift of God, but so are they. Just think about how just shifting this attitude about each other will change. It'll change our relationships. It'll change you in your relationships, the circle of your life. It will change the community in which you move and breathe and have your being. It will change the world if we each take care of our circles. We join in circles of light, and that light spreads across the world. And then finally, my suggestion for us to do, have a deeper dive with the infinite, is to take time to be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. Taking some time to pause and make space for the divine, to commune with it, to cultivate that feeling and connection. And it takes some time. If you just think about it, I've seen so much over my years, but having someone sit down and can close their eyes and breathe for 5 minutes and then say, yeah, that didn't help anything. It's just, that's baloney, and take off, Meditation doesn't work, Reverend Katherine. I tried. How long did you try for? Yeah. Because you know what? It takes some time to sink below that monkey mind. It takes some time to deepen beyond that hamster wheel of the thought processes that go around and around in circles. We need to give ourselves space to sink into the knowing beyond the superficial thinking. Again, I want to share that imagery of the ocean where the waves are choppy and it's tumultuous up on top, but in the depth there is peace. We want to sink deep beyond our mind, beyond the monkey mind, beyond those thoughts that can't stop, to the place of knowing at the center of your being. And we only do that when we can pause, when we can be still and know that we are connected to something greater. Spiritual practice is the key way to make space in your life to experience the presence of God. So, as you practice this, you'll begin to see that you are not alone and never have been. It's almost like taking a blindfold off. It's almost like taking a blindfold off and seeing how you have been loved and supported your whole entire life, no matter what the story you've been telling. All of a sudden you can see that there were forces for your good operating even in the most difficult challenges that you've had in your life. When we start to feel the presence of the divine, you start to see differently not only what is before you, but what has happened to you. And this is healing on such deep levels. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, says in The Science of Mind, he says this, that God is not a person, God is a presence personified in us. If we could forget that philosophy is profound, that religion is spiritual, and life serious, all of which may be true, he says. But if we could forget all these things and approach reality as normally as we go about our daily affairs, we would be better off. And I agree with that. I believe that this is true. We would be better off. If we could think of our relationship to God as normal as our relationship to our partner, to our coworker, to our families, to our pets, if we think of our relationship to God as the same as all of that, we would be better off. This happens when we finally wake up to the fact that God lives in our hearts, that God is personal to you. It's right there where you are, wanting to support you, waiting for you to make it welcome into your life so it can guide and support you in truly magnificent ways. It's your job to make it welcome, to make space for it, to open your arms, to realize that it's right there where you are. And then all you got to do is open your eyes and watch as amazing things happen in your life. This is walking the spiritual path. This is what happens when you find your divine. And so it is. Thank you. Yeah. Invite John, come on back.
The only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Ooh, oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. You say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe. Taking all I have and now I'm laying it at your feet. You have every failure, God. You have every victory. Ooh, oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. You say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe, oh, I believe, yes, I believe what you say of me. I believe.
Just beautiful. Thank you, John. All right, everybody. We have some reminders of things that are happening here at the center. Just want to remind you that our Science of Mind book study is ongoing on Wednesdays from 10 to noon. And they're currently reading a book called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Kimmerer. And you can contact Pam Migliozzi for information about that. Just call Pam if you have any questions. Pam knows everything. Our men's ministry meets on Wednesdays. Every other week they're meeting online and in person at Journey's Restaurant, and that's Reverend Michael Summers is leading that. Pam's also leading our Sisters in Spirit group, who are meeting on the first and third Thursdays of the month. The first Thursday is on Zoom, and the third Thursday is at Journey's Restaurant for breakfast. Thursdays at 9 a.m. It's 9 a.m. Yep. Yes. Okay. Our Spiritual Connection at 7 series is continuing. Meditations at 7 a.m. with a practitioner or minister Monday through Friday. It's a great way to start your day, to jump on in community, to do some spiritual practice together, and I highly recommend it. There's something about meditating in a group, even if you're on Zoom, it makes it easier to go deeper and to feel connected, and it calms your mind down a little bit. And so I highly recommend, if you're wanting to begin a spiritual practice with meditation, join us online. And our CSL TV Community Connection happens on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. with me. And this is a time of sharing, of discussion, connection. We do some spiritual practice. We do some dialogue. It's a really nice time to connect and to do some spiritual practice together. And so as we announced last week or 2 weeks ago, our beloved artistic director, John Foltz, is ending his tenure with us at the end of the month. We've got one more week with him. And I'm not going to cry. But we are putting together an honoring for John for next week. And so the deadline's coming up pretty quick. If you would like to submit a little note, a little blessing, a little love note of thanks and gratitude for John, tomorrow is the deadline to send it in. So we're going to send the email, put the email address. It's for Pat Clark, And it needs to come in before the end of the day on the 24th for us to be able to include it in our honoring of John for next week. And we encourage everyone to join us next week. We've got some fun stuff planned. He doesn't like surprises.
I hate surprises.
Yeah, well, you're going to love next week.
Hate them. I shouldn't say hate, that's a very strong word.
That's a very strong word.
I rather dislike
Wow.
surprises, but I can
Put up with it for 1 week.
I'll put up with it.
We love you and want to
Yes.
celebrate you and
Yes,
honor
yes.
you. And so we look forward to being together next week and honoring John. And so with that, I think it's time for some prayer. So I'm going to invite Pam to come on up with me and everyone to just take a breath and turn within for a moment here. And so let's sink below that monkey mind. Let's move from that difficult 12 inches from our heads to our hearts. Maybe get on that elevator and move into our heart space. This is a place of peace, of comfort, and of knowing the divine source of all life that is God is alive as each and every one of us. There is this divine spark that lights up every man, woman, and child, all beings everywhere, connected in this unity of being. For there is only one life, one light, one truth. And God is that powerful expression of love, that divine wholeness, that perfection, that creative force that brings forth opportunity and possibility, awakening to the true nature of who we are. And so on this day, as we come together in consciousness, I speak my word for each of us, knowing that each has everything that they need to be the fullest expression of who they've come here to be in this life. That there is comfort and peace encircling each one, knowing that God is right where they are, guiding, supporting, and loving each of us forward, healing that sense of separation, that idea that we are limited, and raising us into a knowing of our true nature. And in that all unfolds in ease and grace. There is health and wholeness. There is vitality and energy. There is inspiration, creativity, operating in all of our endeavors. And we are blessed simply because we are. And so I give thanks for this knowing, for this opportunity to celebrate this life together, and for the gifts and blessings that have been bestowed upon each and every one of us. I give great thanks and surrender my word, knowing all is well, for God is here. And so it is. Amen.
There was a time in my life thought I had to do it all myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and didn't know the love of God was at hand. Now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say: I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in spirit. Yes, I'm only for God.
And as we step forth in this week, we open to find our own divine and allow the love to pour forth. And so it is.
So it is.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful Sunday. We look forward to seeing you online soon. Come back and celebrate John next week. And have a great week. We love you.